Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. We are excited to be able to take you through how you can say goodbye to data entry and hello to better data and sales efficiency. Before I pass it over to today's presenter, I'd like to take you through just a couple of housekeeping items. To start, I'd like for everyone to take just a moment to locate the questions pane in the Go to Webinar side panel. This is where we will be addressing questions throughout the session, and we will also offer a Q&A portion at the end. Please take a moment to locate that. Great. Now that you all know where you can address or put in your questions, we encourage you to do so, and we'll be glad to get those answered for you. Today's session is also being recorded, and we will offer it to everyone following the live session in an email link so that you can access it. With that, I'll pass it over to today's presenter, Derek. Derek, take it away.
Thanks, Amy. Hi, my name is Derek Wazinski, and I am the Chief Sales Hacker here over at ZynBit. And here's my contact information for you. So today we're going to talk a little bit about utilizing ZynBit to say goodbye to data entry and hello to better data and sales efficiency. And this is part and parcel of our solution, not only ZynBit, but also talking a little bit about ZynSync and automating the synchronization of certain information that's going into Salesforce to really free up your time to actually sell. Imagine that, as opposed to going out and spending your time doing data entry. So when you're thinking about process and efficiency and utilizing technology to help you in your sales process, there's been a term that's been around for a couple of years, and it's called digital IQ. And digital IQ is really a measure of how well companies and organizations weave technology into their process and into their organization. It's most of the time it's focused on the human experience. It allows you to define and deliver different digital initiatives the way and rethink the way you do those. It really considers interactions not only in between your internal people but also your interactions with customers. And it invests in creating a culture of adoption and innovation. Now, for the last 10 years, PricewaterhouseCoopers has done a survey of enterprise clients talking about digital IQ. 10 years ago, digital was just another word for IT, and in the last 10 years, it's really changed a great deal, where digital means really so much more, where every line of business is embracing digital as part of their organizational mandate. So really, what does that mean for us, for those of us in sales, for those of us that are working within sales organizations? Well, PricewaterhouseCoopers asked the following question over the last few years: is your digital IQ strong? And it's asked it of companies that made annual revenue of $500 million or greater. And they wanted to take a look at how digital IQ has not only increased in awareness, but has actually been adopted within organizations. So what they did is they looked at 2,000 or so odd executives from 54 or 53 different countries, and they went ahead and did a survey. And in the last couple of years, both you see a rise, 2013, 2014, 2015. More and more companies were taking a look at how their digital initiatives, how their digital IQ was growing stronger. Something interesting happened. Excuse me. Something interesting happened last year. Last year, the survey results were not rising as they were the last few years. Actually, they went back to pre-2013 survey requests, where only a little over half thought their digital IQ was so strong. So what did PricewaterhouseCoopers think was the big issue? What was the PricewaterhouseCoopers? What did you think was the big issue in regards to that? You know, what happened? And when we take a look and we determine what happened is why so many companies thought they were failing with their digital IQ, we can look at it as salespeople ourselves. We know that 85% of us who input data every day in Salesforce think that it's the worst part of our day. We don't like doing it. And we don't really do things as human beings well when we don't like to do them. Also, at least 27, at least a quarter of us only put data into Salesforce just to satisfy reporting requirements. So how can you craft a digital IQ or think that your digital IQ within your organization is important when it's all structured on bad data? And bad data, what I mean by bad data is the data going into Salesforce, the data going into CRM, because it's required, because it's laborious, because it takes us out of our sales process. We don't do it well enough, we don't do it often enough, and we don't do it accurately enough. So no Salesforce user ever said they love data entry and they'd prefer to do that rather than the job they're being paid for, right? People want to sell, customer success people want to work with customers, marketers want to work in marketing, nobody wants to do data entry. So what happens with all of this data, all of this investment that organizations make in Salesforce, and with all this data that's supposedly going in, what do we think of the data that we put in ourselves? Well, when you take a look at it, we don't necessarily trust it. This was a survey done of sales leaders and sales operations leaders. 15% thought that the CRM activity or the CRM activities data was accurate. The information about prospects, things like contact names and email addresses and phone numbers, 19% thought it was accurate. We go into opportunities and leads, less than a quarter of the people surveyed thought that data within the CRM is accurate. Customer data, data that, you know, from customers that we're already selling to, that are already buying our stuff and things, their phone numbers, their email addresses, less, you know, 26% thought it was accurate. And sales results, the ability to accurately forecast and look at your pipeline, less than half thought that information was accurate. So it's no wonder over the last year or so there's been this drastic reduction in the number of companies that think that their digital IQ is strong, because what the digital IQ is based on, which is the data that's going into our systems, is just not trusted. So what does that mean for us as far as salespeople? Well, why do we hate entering data into the CRM as much as we do? Well, there's a couple different reasons. First off, we're in the relationship business, and the problem is that CRM mostly focuses on process. It focuses on putting data points in. It doesn't focus on building a relationship. It doesn't help us, or at least we don't think it helps us build a relationship with a client. The delivery of the initiatives come from the top down. Our sales manager, our sales leaders, our CEOs, our executives say, we have to do this now within Salesforce, within the CRM. And we don't necessarily think that's of any value. Interactions, when we're tracking interactions, it really is focusing on key performance indicators and not really what helps us within our sales process. And adoption. Anyone who on this webinar has ever received the email, please update your Salesforce by the end of Friday because we're running the forecast report, knows that there's a lot of stick but not so much carrot when our organizations are trying to get us to use Salesforce. So what does all this mean? So when it comes right down to it, it means that 66% of our bosses, of our people that we work for, think of our CRM, think of our CRM implementation as an operational failure. And their solution, they think, is thinking that we're not spending enough time in our CRM, that we're not spending enough time in Salesforce updating data. And for ourselves, for those of us in sales, we necessarily disagree. So everyone knows what the real answer is. And the real answer is we've got to improve the quality of the data going in. And as salespeople, or as people that utilize Salesforce, we really believe that if you tie the function of the CRM to support sales and marketing processes, we'll actually use it. We'll use something. We'll use something that will help us move a deal forward, that will move a status forward, not just something that is just reporting up to organizations and people. So when you take a look at any type of CRM initiative or how to get this done, there's three people that really are responsible. The first is us, the most of us on this call, which are CRM users. We're salespeople, we're sales development representatives, we're customer experience people. We're the ones that are entering the data, managing the sales pipeline, interacting with prospects and customers. Then we have some of the people on the line right now that are managers, and their job is to use the CRM to manage the team and the sales process. And then you have IT and CRM admin people, and they're there to support the systems and the software, create reporting that helps us within our process. And they build all of this. All of this is built on what we have found at ZynBit, which are 4 key data points that need to be entered on a regular basis into the CRM. And anybody who's a salesperson or utilizes Salesforce can see what these are. The first is your calendar appointments, your meetings, your calls, your demos need to be updated and put into Salesforce. Emails, client communications that you have between yourself and the client need to be updated. Tasks, things that you're reminding yourself to do, getting that proposal out on Friday, making sure you call Jerry on Monday, putting those tasks into Salesforce, providing yourself notifications. And of course, it's all tied in with contacts, the ability to go ahead and have accurate informational contacts in there so you know who's the VP of purchasing, what their email address is, what their phone number is. So when we take a look at each one of these data points, we can look at each one of the 3 people that deal with this data looks at it and uses it differently. And this is where the problem lies in. For people like us, when we're looking at calendar events, it's important for us because we need to make sure that all of our information is in our calendar so we can collaborate with other people, whether it be operations or sales, enablement, whether it be customer success. So we're responsible for that data entry. Our manager needs all that that calendar information in because they want to measure the pulse and rhythm not only of the team but also how many demos or meetings does it take to move a deal forward, those types of things. And then you have your IT person who the primary issue is there's multiple calendars, people are sharing calendars, there's mobile issues, desktop to server problems. So there's a whole cacophony of issues that are resolved or that reside around trying to get these calendar items in. Not the least of which is that we people in sales like to work in email, and we like to put our calendar events in email and not necessarily put them in Salesforce or in our CRM. We take a look at emails, it's the same thing. We send a lot of emails as salespeople and as SDRs and customer success people. So it's part of the communication history. And we CC a lot of people because we're info sharing, we're sharing information across departments. It would help a great deal if all of that information was in Salesforce, but we don't have the time to do it ourselves. We don't have the time to update and add every email that we send to a customer and throw that into Salesforce. But that would be great if we did, because then our managers could have a really good idea of what's going on into an account and not spend the first 15 minutes of our one-on-ones asking them to be caught up on all these deals and what was the last time you talked to the client, or what was the last time you what did they say when you sent them your proposal, those types of things. If all of that data was already in Salesforce, it would make our job a heck of a lot easier. But the issue with that is IT, is there's mobile issues. Do we do it on just the mobile emails? Is it on the desktop emails? Is it just for Salesforce contacts? Is it just for people that have open opportunities? How do we do that? Is there an automated process? And so it's a big headache when it comes to emails. And it doesn't get any better when we're talking about tasks. Tasks are important to us as salespeople because we have activities, we have deadlines, we have milestone dates we need to meet. So we put those in. We put those in a system to remind us, those ticklers. And more often than not, we're putting them in email because that's where we live. It doesn't help us for a task to pop up in Salesforce if we're not in Salesforce all the time. We were in email all the time, so that's why we put the tasks there. But if the tasks were in Salesforce, it would help our managers a great deal because they would know what's going on in the activity in a particular account, and it would really help them with forecasting if they'd be able to know that I have a deadline to send a proposal by Friday to this particular customer. And again, the IT person would love to help, but there's all kinds of system issues trying to get different systems talking to each other in order to go ahead and get those and get that information updated automatically. And then lastly, contacts, which is one of our biggest issues, and also one of the basically the glue that holds everything together. We as salespeople are responsible for contact management. And since we live in email most of the time, that's where we're updating our, that's where we're keeping our contacts. That's where we're putting them in, because we need access to them on mobile as well as on our desktop, as well as through web interface. Through email seems to be the easiest part for that. But just imagine if our contacts were updated and were accurate within Salesforce on a regular basis, the types of lead generation that could really be accomplished by management, the types of drip campaigns and email campaigns that could be pushed out accurately to the people that need to see them. And again, IT would love to help, but the problem is that how do we get all these moving parts working together, and how do we infuse this type of technology in this specific workflow? So at the end of the day, what you really have is you have your salesperson and your sales manager, and they each have calendar events, emails, and tasks and contacts that they're working with. And we want, as managers and as organizations that we work for, they want us to put all of this stuff into Salesforce, right? Because if we put it into Salesforce, what happens is we get all these great reports and dashboards and data that's going to help us in moving deals forward and working with customers. But we all know here that that would be nice if that was the way it worked. But we know where we live, and where we live is in email. And whether it be an Exchange or on the Office on the web or in Gmail, we live in email, and our calendar events, our emails, our meetings, and our contacts are in there. So we're keeping two sets of books. We're working in email, and then we're going back and updating Salesforce when we have the time. So those great reports and those great dashboards that companies are spending so much time putting together aren't really of value to us, because we know instinctively that the data really isn't there. Again, it's hashtag bad data. It's the bad data is there, and we're trying to manage our pipelines and our forecasts specifically through our own devices through email. And then our poor IT person, how do they go ahead and support all of this? Because they're trying to go ahead and support us in Salesforce, but yet we're working out of email most of the time. And what happens? What happens? We have duplicate or incomplete contacts. Our calendar events don't match. Meetings in Salesforce aren't corresponding in our calendar in Gmail or Exchange. Our tasks are not synchronized. They're not entered correctly. And then we have siloed information. We have information that's located in my email that is not accessible to my manager. So how does that help my manager work with me and coach me as they're supposed to in order to go ahead and help me move a deal forward? And let's just throw something else on top of it. We all want to work mobily. I see on this call we have a lot of field reps. We have a lot of people that are working out in the field. We work from our laptops and our cell phones, and it doesn't really help us if we're doing all of our emailing and our calling from our cell phones or our emailing from our laptops, and then we have to go back into Salesforce and update a whole bunch of data for stuff we already did, right? So we believe at ZynBit that the way you do this, the way you solve this problem of getting the right data in, is that you make your CRM invisible. And what do I mean by that? I mean that we're going to work, and we're going to make CRM work for you, make Salesforce work for you where you work. So if you're in email, whether it be desktop, Outlook, Outlook for Mac, whether it be on your mobile device, you're going to have the ability, your calendars are going to be automatically fully synchronized. Desktop, mobile, Salesforce, email, all of it. You enter one calendar event, it populates everything. Doesn't matter where you enter it, it populates everything. So it's very easy for you to go ahead and do. Your emails, no more updating emails, adding emails on an ad hoc basis. You can actually put in, if you have a contact in Salesforce and they send you an email, automatically save to Salesforce, period. It's just in there. You don't even have to worry about it. Tasks. Now you can really utilize tasks because the tasks that are created in Salesforce populate into Outlook, populate into Gmail. So you're able to get those notifications on even mobile, where you can be told that you need to go ahead and update or you have a task that's available. And now, you know, one of the biggest is contacts. A contact in Salesforce is automatically synchronized with all of your systems. So your desktop email, your mobile, it's all there. So if you're updating your contacts in Salesforce, you never have to worry again about not having a contact in your Outlook for iOS on your iPhone, or your Outlook for Android, or even your ZynBit mobile app that we're going to show you here in a second. All of those contacts are exactly updated the way they're supposed to be. And what does this do? So what this does and how this is accomplished is very simple. We take all of that synchronization out of the hands of the people that are doing the actual work. We put that in the background. So it's all done automatically, as I said, invisible to the people that are doing the work. So Salesforce, Microsoft Exchange, Office 365, Gmail, and Exchange, we do both cloud and on-premises. Everything is synchronized in the background automatically. End users don't have to do it. This is not desktop stuff that you have to have your desktop on. No function on mobile that you need to be synchronizing or updating. It's automatically done in the back end. And what that allows you to do is, since all that data is being done accurately, all of those reports and those dashboards that your Salesforce admins are spending so much time putting together are actually providing you value. And now the salesperson and the sales manager are in sync as well. And they're able to go ahead and work from these reports and really work with their digital, with a strong digital IQ to move their deals forward. And you can do it from anywhere. Again, any mobile platform, any desktop platform, you have the capability to do everything. And this beleaguered IT person, the one that we have that we're asking to do all of this, we actually take care of this ourselves, ZynBit. We are the front line for this. We take on support, so we're not offloading support of this solution to your internal IT. We take it on. So if you have an issue, if there's a problem, if you can't remember how to do something, you connect with us, and we're able to resolve the issue for you. So Derek, this all sounds great. Right, but how does this actually work? How do you set it up? How do you set up ZynBit in order to go ahead and make all of this stuff happen in the background, so I don't have anything to do other than like call customers and have meetings and do demos and sell stuff to people, which is why my company hired me. Well, in the setup, when you're first setting up ZynBit and ZynSync, you have the capability, and we're going to go through these tabs here very quickly, talking about synchronization. So here you see there's actually a function where it says synchronize your calendar to Salesforce and synchronize your Salesforce events to your calendar. So by adding a start date, putting that information in, what happens is once your calendars between Salesforce and email are fully synchronized, when you add an event with someone who is a contact of yours in Salesforce, it automatically populates Salesforce, automatically synchronizes. And when the event time changes and it goes from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, that changes as well. Well, what does that look like? Well, I'll show you here. So here I am in Outlook, and I'm going to go ahead and set a meeting with Sherman Potter. And I do this as I normally do. I'm in Outlook all day long. So I click the time in my calendar, I choose Sherman in the to line, I give my subject with my meeting, with my location. Now our ZynBit panel automatically opens on the right-hand side. And this is where you're able to interact with ZynBit not only for contacts and that, but also management of opportunities and cases, and those of you that are using ZynBit know how that works. However, this allows me to go ahead and set this meeting, and once I set the meeting, not only is the meeting automatically sent to Sherman Potter, and he gets it in his email, and it's automatically updated in my calendar in Outlook like it should be, but it's also automatically updated and entered into Salesforce. And you see that it's right there. And it's right there, it's the exact language, it's everything there. And once it's synchronized, if I go into Salesforce and change the meeting time, it will go ahead and correspondingly change in my Outlook and vice versa. And for those of you that are field reps that walk around with a cell phone all day as opposed to a laptop, it works there automatically as well. So you have the capability, entering it once, populating completely all of your platforms and ability to work with it there. So think of never having to go into this screen in Salesforce again and updating calendar events, to have your entire calendar link to Salesforce so your managers, so the people that you report to that are responsible to, can accurately see what's going on. So that's calendar events. Let's talk about tasks. This is a very simple function. You either link tasks or you don't. So by linking tasks with Salesforce and linking your Salesforce tasks to your email, what you're able to do is to create a process like this, where here I have an opportunity open with Sherman, and through my ZynBit panel I can then go ahead into my activities button, and I'm going to add a particular task here. And by adding the task, it allows me to go ahead and fill in all that information. I'm going to create a due date, which is June 6th. I'm going to create the June 6th due date, and what I can see here is in ZynBit, the task has been entered into Salesforce. And how do I know that? Because it shows up right here, that it shows up that it's been entered into Salesforce. But also correspondingly, it's also been entered into my Outlook tasks. So I will get a notification when I'm in Outlook about when my task is due. I don't have to be logged into Salesforce to get these tasks to be updated. And I can prove that the task has been updated in Salesforce because there it is in Salesforce as well. So what I've done is I've just created the task as I normally would within my email where I live, and it's populated again all platforms. And again, for you field reps who are out there in the real world, by using the ZynBit mobile app, the task also appears in your task list as well, and it can be acted upon and it can be done. Imagine living in a world where you can walk out of a meeting with a client and in the parking lot go into your task list in Zyn Mobile and close out a task, move that status from in process to completed. And having that data updated automatically in Salesforce, it's done, and your manager knows that that task has been completed. Any workflow notifications that you've created in Salesforce are kicked off. Now tasks within Salesforce are actually valuable workflow tools as opposed to just another thing that salespeople have to go ahead and do while they're trying to do their job, which is selling stuff to people. And again, we're enabling task notification. So you can imagine that you'll get notified on mobile, on desktop, when tasks have been assigned to you and when tasks have been moved in process. So if something goes from one status to another. So there's a multitude of task notification tools that we're enabling as well. Well, how about contacts, Derek? You were talking about contacts, and I have a lot of contacts. And if I sync Salesforce contacts with my email, how does that work? Well, simply put, you just click Sync Salesforce Contacts to your email. And what you're able to do, and you can see there, I have 142,000 contacts that are going to be synced from my Salesforce to my email. Now, again, there's some tools here that you use within this function that could go ahead, and then you can see exactly how that works. But in this case, I'm going to just do some matching criteria. I'm going to look for my emails, and I'm going to bring them into my default folder called CRM Contacts, right? And by doing that, now here I have a contact within my CRM Contacts. There's Sherman Potter. He's VP of Sales. There's his phone number, right? He's also in my mobile, and he's also in Salesforce. And he's there in all three places. Now, if Sherman Potter becomes the VP of, or goes from the VP of Sales to the CEO, I simply go into Salesforce, I change his title, and it will automatically synchronize and update both my mobile phone contact and my desktop phone contact. So finally, you have a way to make Salesforce the gatekeeper of all contacts for your companies, for your accounts, for the things you work with. And you have no fear that that information will be automatically populated. You'll never be in a situation again when you're in a parking lot and you need to make a phone call to one of your contacts and the phone number you have in your phone contact is different than the contact number in Salesforce. So you're bebopping around in a different bunch of apps, Salesforce One, whatever, trying to figure out which phone number to call. Those days are over. If you go ahead and make sure and are diligent in updating your contacts in Salesforce, that will populate all of your other devices and all of your other platforms for you. And it will cut way down on on duplicates and bad data that you have with contacts within Salesforce. Now, for the CRM admins that are on the line, you have a function within the organization to really make and to really customize the way you've done contacts. So you see here you have Salesforce fields like account name and business facts and that. You also have email fields. You also have custom fields. So if you want your contacts to look a certain way, as a CRM admin, you can go ahead and create that. So imagine a uniform way all contacts are added within Salesforce and what they look like and how they look within Outlook, within the mobile phone. You can set all that up for yourself. You can also create filter rules. So for end users here, so let's say I want to just synchronize contacts by contact ownership. So if I own a contact, I want that contact synchronized with my account. Maybe if I own the account, I want all contacts under that account synchronized. So there's different ways. There's custom rules that you can go ahead and create. Now again, for you end users here, for you salespeople and that, this is more of a administrative function. But for you people responsible for being the CRM admins within your organizations, you can see that this is a function that could prove incredibly valuable to different parts of your organization as far as contact management. And again, it's completely up to you. You're able to figure out how that works best for your organization, because as you all know, one size does not fit all. So how about the last one? How about emails? How about, because emails, we get a lot of people utilizing ZynBit that talk to us and say, well, I don't know if I should be saving all my emails. I don't know if I want all my emails saved within Salesforce. I can tell you this, in the 10 years that I've been working with Salesforce and in the last 3 years, 2.5, 3 years that I've been working with ZynBit, I can tell you I've never had a customer say to me they're entering too much data into Salesforce. The problem is always the reverse. There's not enough data. And you guys know, the people that are on this phone call or this webinar know that emails have that's where the meat and potatoes of what we do on a daily basis are. That's where the information about our deals and our accounts reside. And more often than not, it's the information that can be read by others and shared by others and viewed by others that would best help us as a team help a customer, sell a customer, upgrade a customer, do the things that we're supposed to do. So how does that work? What happens when I synchronize emails to Salesforce? Well, this is what happens. So what happens is that I have, and this is a Salesforce entry. These are emails that are currently listed that I had synced that are updated in Sherman Potter's record for his company, right? It's all in activity history, because we're all managed by activity, or we're all managed. We have managers that look at our activities. Well, email's an activity, so we save emails under activities. But you have different places that you save emails and send emails, right? So here from your mobile phone, you send from Outlook for iOS, you send an email to Sherman Potter, and I'm going to call it test for demo. I'm going to send it there. But I'm also going to go ahead and send an email from my desktop application, and I'm going to call this test for demo 2. And I'm also going to use ZynBit mobile application, and I'm going to send Sherman an email. And I'm going to click my little search cloud here because I want to go ahead and find Sherman's contact, and there's Sherman's contact. So I select him, and now I write this particular email. So from 3 different devices, from 3 different platforms, I went ahead and sent an email to Sherman Potter. So how do I get this into Salesforce? I just click send. That's it. The act of writing and sending an email to Sherman, who is a contact of mine in Salesforce, will automatically save it in the activity history. And not only just the fact that I sent an email, but everything within the body of the email. What this does is this is now, email is an invaluable resource for information within a sales organization. Now it's automatically updated into Salesforce. Now it's automatically there, and managers and customer success people can go through emails and they can say, what did we tell the customer? What was going on with this particular deal 6 months ago? They can go back to the emails and look at it. Some of your reps on the phone right now or on this webinar right now have inherited accounts. You've inherited territories. You took over other territories. What would this tool have meant to you If you've inherited an account or territory and you could go through the entire activity history of the deal that was done last year when a customer of yours is up for renewal that you just inherited. And because that rep is gone, they left, something else happened, all of their emails, everything that they did was saved, it was in there. For you managers on the phone, what does this mean to you as far as the ability to coach your employees? So your one-on-ones to them are really valuable about coaching, and the first 15 minutes are not, tell me what's going on with Sherman. Did you send him the proposal? What did he say about the proposal? All that other stuff that we do. And I know I was a director of sales for years at Xerox, and I had those meetings on a weekly basis with my reps. And I could tell you right now, this would have proven invaluable to me within my org. If I could have went ahead and just gotten rid of all of that pre-talk and really sat down in a one-on-one and say, okay, I saw you sent that email to Sherman last Friday. I saw his response. Here's how you should answer. Or here's what we should do. I mean, a true coaching session, and you can start it from the get-go. And it's all done automatically. You as a rep, you as a CRM user, you don't have to do anything. You just simply send email as you normally would. So what does this mean? So what this means is we finally figured out a way to create a way in which we can make CRM invisible to our end users, thereby allowing the data to go in on a regular, routine, and constant basis, which makes it more valuable for our reps. So we have people like our customer success people, our sales people, and our managers. And rather than going back and forth and figuring out what's good in Salesforce and what's not, you can really rely on Salesforce for the thing that you're supposed to be relying it for, which are your dashboards. And all of these fantastic colors and these cool diagrams, they're all real now because the data's in there. Everything's updated. You're not having to play catch up and on a Friday afternoon update Salesforce before the dashboard report is run. It's all there because what have you done? You've simply added the contact like you're supposed to. You've sent them an email. You've sent a calendar event within your Outlook or Gmail calendar, and you set yourself a task. And you're going to do all of those anyways. So the simple act of doing them makes these reports now incredibly valuable to you within your organization. So when we think about it, we think about that digital sales IQ, and we talked about what that means, how well organizations understand the value of technology. Your companies have most likely invested in Salesforce, so they value it as part of your organization. By utilizing ZynBit to weave Salesforce into the day-to-day workings of what you do as sales reps, you provide a trust factor there where reps, where sales managers, where IT people can really feel confident with 100% accuracy that calendars, emails, tasks, and contacts are updated. And then for you as reps, especially for the 32% of you who believe you can manage your entire pipeline and sales process via mobile or tablet, we finally give you the tools that enable you to do that. So you don't have to worry about going back to the office or setting up with some type of synchronization utility on the desktop. We do all this stuff in the back end for you, so you don't have to do anything. So ZynBit really tries to attempt to make CRM invisible to you on multiple platforms. And by multiple platforms, that's what we mean. iOS, Android, Outlook, Outlook for Mac, OA for web app, Gmail, doesn't matter which one of those you're using. To us, it's all the same. So you're able to go ahead and utilize the same panel, the same interface, the same way to update opportunities and to do things, all of the things you would normally do in Salesforce. Everything is done through these different platforms. So finally, your calendar events, your emails, your tasks, your contacts, all of the data in Salesforce is truly accurate and is truly available to you to help you through your process. And now you never have to enter data into Salesforce again, because just the simple act of doing your job enters that data. And just as a reminder for our admins and IT people that are here, when we talk about Microsoft Exchange, We're talking about cloud-based exchange as well as on-prem exchange. You're talking about the ability to do back-end synchronization between these applications, irregardless of which platform you're using. So Derek, this all sounds great, but how do we move forward if we're not already customers, if we're not already looking at it? Well, you contact us. And by contacting us at help@ZynBit, we can go ahead and work with you in order to go ahead and get you set up in a pilot or a trial of ZynSync. We can also demo for you our mobile and other platforms, and you can utilize those for trials as well. We're often, you can follow us on Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn as well, because we have these webinars that we're able to provide that hopefully show you, provide a little bit of thought leadership and a little bit of information. But at the end of the day, anybody can show you something here in a webinar with a couple of screenshots. It really is about testing and trialing yourself. So that's why we like to pilot and test and trial, because only by doing that can you be assured that it's going to work within your organization. And with that, I'm going to go ahead. I know we've had some questions so far, but I'm going to open this up to questions, and we'll be able to answer them orally here as we're going forward. So, Amy.
Great, thank you, Derek. So I just want to remind everyone that you can type any questions that you have throughout the session into the questions pane. So if everyone wants to take a few moments and do that. So we do have a few questions, and I'll start to address some of those, Derek. So the first one is, can you talk a little bit about how this process handles personal emails that you may receive in your inbox?
Fantastic. Yes, I get those. I have a wife and a daughter, and I've got friends. I've got people sending me personal emails. If that person is not a contact in Salesforce, we don't touch it. End of story. So by putting them as making them a contact within Salesforce with that particular email address, and you turn on the auto file email function within ZynSync, those emails will be filed. Personal emails, hey, pick up your dog on Friday from the vet or whatever else. If your vet is not a contact of yours in Salesforce, and I don't see why he or she would be, you don't have to worry about that. So your personal emails, your personal are completely, you know, they're not contacts, so they're not in Salesforce. Your events are a little bit different, but this is how we handle these. You already know how to make a personal event, a personal calendar item, or a calendar item personal within Outlook, within Gmail Calendar. You probably already know how to do that because you're using that. The simple act of doing that will mask what you're going to be doing in that meeting or that time off from Salesforce. It will put in that time frame. So it will say, just like in your regular Outlook or your calendar, if you have a private meeting, if you're going to the doctor from 2 to 3, and you put that in your Outlook calendar and you put the little lock on it to go ahead and make it private, when I'm your boss, I look at your calendar, I can see that that's blocked out and that's a private event. The same for Salesforce. It would look exactly the same, but would just show private event. So yeah, so those are a couple of questions that we've had from end users, so we've developed a solution to keep that level of that expectation of privacy for you. Or if you're from England and you're on this phone call, from privacy. So, you know, whatever issues that, you know, or worries you have about that, if you're using Outlook that way, it's the same for Salesforce. So you don't have to worry about Salesforce admins looking at your calendar and seeing stuff that you want private. Hopefully that answers your question.
Great, thank you, Derek. So one other question that we have is related to contacts and syncing contacts. Is it a two-way sync? And can you talk a little bit about, you know, how that works with Salesforce contacts and relating it back to Outlook, Gmail,
Right.
And mobile?
Right. Just very quickly. There's an initial when you first hook up, when you first engage. There's a synchronization that goes on with Salesforce. It's not bidirectional. So what happens is you're synchronizing your contacts, your Salesforce contacts with email. That's the way it's moving. That's the way it's doing. So it's going from Salesforce to email. The reason for that, and the reason for that is that you want Salesforce to be the gatekeeper for your contacts, because multiple people are working with your contacts in an account. So like in this case here for ZynBit, I'll give you an example. I have contacts with a company, and in sales I work with them in sales and pre-sales, and I sell them. When they become a customer, those contacts are necessary for people that work in my customer success team. So they shouldn't have to go through the process of figuring out who those were or downloading them or anything else like that. The simple act that they're now part of that account team will automatically download, in the case, to use the right terminology, right, automatically download those contacts into their email platforms. And so it does go from Salesforce to email, but it goes cross email. So it will go Outlook, Gmail, mobile, the whole kit and caboodle. But at the end of the day, Salesforce think of it as the gatekeeper for contacts. And what that does is then that allows you a way for the sales admin people here, for the Salesforce admin people here, it allows you a way to manage those contacts better and to run your duplication programs and everything else like that you need to, in order to make sure there's no dupes and that information isn't there. By going bisynchronous, if there was a bisynchronous way, it would be very difficult to manage that process. So we manage it that way, and we use it internally. Some of our largest customers use it, and it's the level of trust that you have. When you can trust that your Salesforce contacts are going to be accurate, people really don't want to manage another contact box themselves. They don't want to have separate boxes. They don't want to have a separate contact list or a call list themselves in Outlook, and one in mobile, and also one in Salesforce. The benefit of that is that whether you're in Outlook for iOS, or whether you're in ZynBit Mobile, or whether you're in Outlook on your desktop or Gmail contacts, they're all your Salesforce contacts. So you're not having to figure out and find them anywhere else. So that's how that works, and hopefully that answers it well. I know we have a couple knowledge base articles on that, and we can have, if there's more of a technical answer that you need for that, we can provide that as well. But that's kind of the 30,000-foot answer.
Great. Thank you, Derek. Well, can you talk a little bit about, just in general, how we connect to the mailboxes for Exchange 365 and Gmail, and what's now available with that? So I know for Office 365 we work with OAuth, and the same thing for Gmail. So can you talk a little bit about that?
As far as?
Just what we can connect to with ZynSync.
Oh, ZynSync, yes.
Calendars, emails.
Right. Yeah. ZynSync, contacts, calendars, emails, tasks are connected that way through ZynSync, and it's also it's for Exchange on-prem as well as cloud. So the capability exists to do that as well. So it's no longer you need to do Office 365 in order to do that. We can go ahead and provide that we can go ahead and provide that level of connectivity. So in that sense, we go ahead and take that. We're trying to take that out of the realm of having to do manual updates for those things, to automatically synchronize those in the back end, takes it off the plate of the salespeople, and you guys are able then to go ahead and just concentrate on working deals and working with customers.
Wonderful. Well, that's all the questions I have for now. If anyone wants to take a few more minutes to jot their questions down, we'll be glad to get any other questions answered before we wrap it up.
Hi, Kim. That was a really good question. So Kim Sanders just asked, who is our contact for further questions? So if we just want to go back here, you can, if you don't get a response, because everyone who's putting a written question within the chat should get a response from us. But for those of you that either can't wait or have an immediate need, help@ZynBit.com, this email address right here. If you want to go ahead and send that particular question in that way, we'll go ahead and provide you answers for that. Also, if you're a current ZynBit user, which some of you may be, if you can also access us via the help icon within ZynBit as well. So you can access that as well. But that's a great question, and yes, I wanted to make sure that everybody can access us via help@ZynBit.com, and then your question, if it can't be answered by the people that answer that email inbox, it will be forwarded to the people that need to that have the information for you. And for those of you that there's a couple people asking about pricing and that, again, that's something you can take a look at that on our website. Then, but there is it is priced for individual as well as for enterprise use, so you can take a look at it that way. And again, any questions like that can be routed to help, and then it can be routed to sales or pre-sales support or helping you with a trial, however that works for you. So definitely want to make sure that you guys get these questions answered. And the last one is yes. I just saw Joseph said there, yes, you can have a copy of the recorded webinar. You'll be getting that as someone who registered to this webinar. You'll get a link that is a copy of the recorded webinar that you'll have access to. And it looks like we're still recording, so even these questions and answers will be accessed as well. So there you go, Joseph. We'll make sure you get a copy of that for your owner. Thanks. And just let you know, for those of you that are asking specifically for help on how to log in, how to do these types of things, you'll be getting contacted from our customer success desk as well, and they have your email information in that, and they'll be reaching out to you to help you with those logins and everything else. So thanks for asking those questions as well, so we can help you there.
Great. Well, I think with that, we've don't have any other questions coming in, Derek, so we can wrap things up. And as Derek said, we are recording, so we will be happy to send the recording link to everyone following the live session.